Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Tower of God New World. In today's video, we'll be checking out the brand new SSR character, Compressed RAK, and I'm going to give you guys my overall opinion on this character. But before I get started on the video, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't. I'd really appreciate it. And if you guys are new here on the channel, I have a Discord server, so if you guys are interested, you can join the server by going to my channel description to see the server link there, and I'll also post a server link in the comment section down below. But anyways, let's not waste any time. Let's hop right into the video. So if you guys haven't watched my summon video, that summon session was absolutely terrible. I literally got 0 copies of Compressed RAK. They only gave me 1 copy of him, and then after that I didn't get a single star on him. But I was able to bring him up to blue stars because I was grinding my ass off. And I'm not gonna lie, I had to spend a couple money in order for me to get a decent amount of copies of him in order for me to test him. So yeah, I had to spend around like $20, $15 in order for me to get like at least 3 copies of him, which was insane. But we also got him to 1 blue star because of the event, which is really dope. So let's go ahead and talk about Compressed RAK. Now the first thing we want to touch on is of course his skills. So we look at his passive. It's Hunter. Projectiles from RAK's basic attacks and power shock skill ignore enemies in their path to the target. RAK deals 150% of his attack as additional damage when his basic attack results in a critical hit. In addition, RAK applies his Hunter's mark to an enemy with 40% or less HP, locking onto them as his attack target. RAK looks for a new target to mark if his current target is either removed from the battlefield or their HP exceeds 40%. If there is more than 1 enemy that meets the conditions for a Hunter's mark, the enemy with the lowest HP will be chosen. So basically his passive is pretty simple. If you're able to land a crit with his basic attack, like if you're able to land a basic attack on an enemy, he's going to basically crit with that attack, because it says RAK deals 150% of his attack as additional damage when his basic attack results in a critical hit. So whenever he lands a crit, he's going to get an additional 150% of his attack. Like he's going to get additional damage whenever he lands a crit hit with his basic attack. And he's also going to place a mark on an enemy if they have less than 40% HP. If they have 40% or less than 40% HP, he's going to place a mark on them, and he's going to lock onto that target. And the only way this mark can go away is if the enemy's HP goes back, like if the enemy recovers their HP above 40%, or the enemy just completely dies. That's the only way the mark will go away. And once the enemy dies, and once the enemy goes away, or they have a higher HP percentage, he's going to move his mark on the next enemy. So that's pretty much his passive. Now when we look at his active, which is Banana, RAK eats a banana to become immune to status effects and increases physical pierce by 25% for 8 seconds. While RAK is immune to status effects with this skill, each status effect attack that hits him restores his energy by 100. So basically, this active is pretty simple. He gets a huge boost to his physical pierce, which allows him to do more damage, because if we look at his damage type, he is a physical damage dealing damage dealing unit. And he's also going to restore 100 energy whenever it says each status effect attack that hits him restores his energy. So whenever an enemy is trying to debuff him, he's going to restore energy whenever an enemy is trying to debuff him. So let's say stun or paralyze or whatever, he's going to restore energy. Now when we look at his next active, which is Power Shock, RAK throws his spear with force, dealing 250% of his attack as damage to the enemy and stunning them for 2 seconds. Afterwards, RAK's attacks will always result in critical hits against enemies hit by the spear for 8 seconds. So the first thing he's going to do is he's going to throw a spear at an enemy, he's going to stun them for 2 seconds, and then after that he's going to basically get 100% crit rate after he does the Power Shock, and this is only going to last for 8 seconds. So after he does the active, he's going to get 100% crit rate for 8 seconds, and he's just going to do a ton of damage. And then for his special move, RAK throws the returning match shocker to deal 275% and 375% of his attack as damage to enemies in range and jolts them. If the target's HP is 40% or below, RAK deals 250% of his attack as additional damage. RAK becomes immune to status effects while using this skill. So overall, his kit is looking really solid. It seems like his kit mostly revolves around critical hits. Like if you're able to land a crit with RAK, he will do a lot of things. And when it seems like he's going to deal a lot of damage to enemies who have less than 40% HP. So let's say you're going up against a Data Zahard, right? And Data Zahard has like 40% HP. We already know Data Zahard extremely tanky, and sometimes he would regain his HP, which is annoying. So RAK, if Data Zahard's HP is at 40% or 30%, RAK is going to instantly delete Data Zahard because of all the attack boost he gets and the damage boost he gets when the enemy he attacks has less than 40% HP. And on top of that, this active skill right here is absolutely insane. The fact that he's able to get 100% guaranteed crit hit for 8 seconds. That is crazy overall. So, and on top of that, he also has that additional physical pierce, and the more you level him up, the more you can boost that physical pierce buff, which is insane overall. So looking at his kit, he seems like a pretty solid character. Now for his ignition weapon, if I come over here, the best ignition weapon for him is of course the attack speed set, because he is a ranged unit, so the chances of him getting attacked is pretty low, and you want to get a lot of attack speed on him so that he can do a ton of damage. And of course for the 4P set effect, if he avoids getting hit for 5 seconds, his attack is going to increase by 50%, and his kit pretty much scales off of attack. So overall, the attack speed set is definitely best in slot for him. Another set that would be pretty good for him is Bergamot. If you want to increase his survivability, Bergamot wouldn't be too bad, but I would definitely recommend you guys to use attack speed set instead. Now the stats that you mostly want to focus on, so it's pretty obvious that crit is extremely important on RAK, but you mostly want to focus on, of course, accuracy. Accuracy is extremely important because if you have terrible accuracy, if you have around like 200 accuracy, he won't land a single attack. So you want him to at least have around 400 accuracy, 350 accuracy, so that he can actually land his attacks and do a ton of damage. Evasion is also good as well because it basically allows him to avoid enemy attacks. Attack is really good as well because he scales off of it. And of course, crit rate, crit damage, really important. I feel like critical damage is more important because he already has like 100% guaranteed crit hit whenever you're using his active. So crit damage is honestly more important, but if you want to get some crit rate, you want to get that as well. Now I'll say physical pierce is really good on him. Not only because his damage type is physical, but the fact that he gets that huge physical pierce boost in his active. I feel like physical pierce is definitely going to be cracked on him, so you definitely want to put physical pierce on him. Don't put magic pierce because magic pierce is not his damage type. His damage type is physical, so you want to put physical pierce on him. And lifesteal isn't bad either. So the top stats you definitely want to focus on RAK is accuracy. That is extremely important. Crit rate, crit damage, and physical pierce. You want to get as much physical pierce as much as possible because he's going to do insane damage. So those are pretty much the stats you want to focus on. And then when we look at his exclusive equipment, now his exclusive equipment is crazy. Like his exclusive equipment is just out of this world. So when we look at it, right, for level 1, RAK's critical damage increases by 30% and critical hit rate by 10% at the start of the battle. So as soon as RAK enters the battle, he already has a 30% crit damage boost and a 10% crit rate. That is crazy. So that is a really good level 1 right there. And then for level 2, RAK's physical pierce increases by 10% for 5 seconds when a basic attack results in a critical hit, and you get max 5 stacks. Yo, 5 stacks max? You basically get 50% physical pierce increase when his basic attack results in a critical hit. That's why I say that crit is really important on him, because you want him to crit with his basic attack so that he can get that physical pierce boost. That is insane overall. And then when we look at his level 3, RAK's critical damage increases by 5% for each enemy hit by the Match Shocker skill for 10 seconds. So Match Shocker is pretty much his special skill, because if we go back over here, we look at his special skill, and as you guys can see, it says Match Shocker. So that's his special skill, and you definitely want to use his special skill as much as possible so that he can get that additional crit damage, because you get like max 10 stacks with the critical damage. And I'm pretty sure that Yeah, that's like yeah, that's like 50%. Yo, this guy is insane overall. His kit is insane. So level 3 is really cracked. And then for level 4, RAK swiftness increases by 30% and attack by 50% while a hunter's mark from the hunter skill is active. So his swiftness is going to increase by 30, and on top of that he gets an additional 50% attack boost from hunter's mark. So overall, man, his exclusive equipment makes him really cracked overall because of the additional crit damage boost and the additional crit rate, and also that physical pierce boost. It's just crazy potential. So that's pretty much his kit so far. And for his report, it's pretty simple. You want to at least reach accuracy right here because you get that 100 accuracy. You always want to get that accuracy whenever you're leveling up the character's report. It is extremely important. So that's pretty much RAK overall. And if you guys were to ask me, you know, how much copies you need for him in order for him to really be good, I would say that RAK is definitely a unit that requires a decent amount of copies because you definitely want to buff up his damage, like the amount of damage he can deal. And if we look at his, like if you look at the pocket certificate, when you reach 3 green stars you get, you know, 40% attack boost, of course, but when you reach to like, you know, 3 red stars, you literally get a damage boost to purple element. And then when you look at max rainbow stars, he gets like a battle star energy. So right off the bat, he's going to use his special skill and he's just going to get that insane attack boost, like the 50% attack boost if you have him at that rainbow star. So if you have a lot of copies on him, he's going to be cracked for sure. And I definitely see potential. I see potential in RAK for sure. He's definitely good overall. So I'm going to head on over to Arena Simulation and we're going to go ahead and test him out. Alright, so the team that I'm basically using for RAK, you definitely want to use him in the yellow team. Now the reason why I put, you know, Uric Mazino and Ron May is because Ron May is going to provide that shield, which is going to increase his survivability, and Uric Mazino, he's basically going to provide shield as well, and he's also going to provide that, you know, additional resistance, which is really good. So this is a pretty solid team. Bomb is basically going to increase his energy. He's going to give him energy and also give him additional attack. If you guys are asking, you know, why are you not using Yiwa, because to be honest, Yiwa would be good in this team, but the thing is, she pretty much steals the spotlight, so RAK would just be pretty much useless in this situation. So that's the reason why I'm using RAK by himself as, like, you know, the main DPS unit. Uric Mazino is going to deal some damage as well, and of course Ron May, but RAK is definitely like our main damage dealer, and you guys are going to see how much damage he can dish out. So I'm going to go ahead and click quick result right here. Look how much damage he can dish out. It is crazy. So chances are we might lose sometimes, but you know, it's RNG. But look at this damage right here, 522 billion damage. That is insane. That is a lot of damage, like really good damage overall coming from him. I mean not Data Uric, but Flight Uric Mazino doing more damage, not surprised, but that is actually pretty good. 522 billion damage is pretty solid. So he definitely has potential for sure. Now let's go ahead and see if we lower the character's limit break. So I'm going to lower it just a little bit. Let me lower Ron May to 1 yellow star, and then for RAK we're going to lower to 1 yellow star as well. And then for Flight Uric Mazino, we're going to put it at, I'll say 3 blue stars. That's fair enough. And then for Evan, he doesn't really need a lot of copies, so I'm going to put him at like 2 green stars. And then for Bomb, we're going to leave him at rainbow stars. And then for this team, we're going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to put it at, I'll say 3 green stars for you, and then of course max stars for him. And then Flight Uric Mazino right there, and then not Evan, 2 green stars. And then Evan, I put her at like 3 green stars. So that's what we're gonna do, and let's go ahead and see what we can, like, let's see the results real quick. All right, as you guys can see, man, we still cleared it. So look at his damage right here, 399 billion. We did the most damage, so he definitely deals some pretty good damage overall. Like, his damage is absolutely insane. The fact that he's able to do some good damage, and on top of that his survivability is actually pretty decent, I think that's a good sign. But the thing is, what I recommend you guys to pull for a unit like compressed RAK when we already have a broken unit like Yiwa, to be honest, I'll say that compressed RAK, if you are a brand new player to the game, Compressed RAK is definitely a good unit for sure, really solid unit, but is he better than Yua? No, he's not better than her, but he is a strong unit for sure. He is a strong unit. And we're gonna come back over here to Guardian's test, and let's go ahead, and I think we should honestly, yeah, let's try this again. Let's take out Gusting, let's put in Compressed RAK. Where is he at? He doesn't even have enough stars, so I think that's why he's so low here. Okay, there he is right here. And then over here we're going to put, let's put Evan right here, and then up top we're going to use, I'll say Bomb. Bomb is a really good unit to pair up with RAK because of that additional attack. So we're gonna put him right here. Let's put this right here, and let's go and see what we can get from here. Now keep in mind guys, my RAK is at 1 blue star, so his damage won't be absolutely insane, but you guys can definitely see the potential in his character because he's able to deal some pretty good single target damage. So let me put in 2 times speed for you guys. Now look at this damage right here. Look at that, instantly dead. 7,000 damage is really good. And you see that mark right there? Let me pause it for you guys. You guys see that mark right there? That's the mark that RAK applies to the enemy if the enemy has less than 40% HP. So he's going to deal more damage. And let's go ahead and check his stats real quick. And look at that, 29,000 damage, 29k damage. That's really good. Ranmei was able to deal more damage, but hey, she has 2 yellow stars. He has 1 blue star. I think that's pretty good. The fact that he has 1 blue star and he's able to dish out that much damage, that's pretty insane. So overall, I feel like Compressed RAK is definitely going to be a strong unit for sure. Now against bosses, I haven't tested him against bosses yet because my attempts for my bosses are pretty much low right now. Like they're pretty much, yeah, my attempts are pretty much gone. I mean, I have 1 more attempt for mock battle, so I definitely want to see his potential against Quant and mock battle. So let's go ahead and check and see how strong he is against bosses. All right, so the team that I'm going to use is of course Compressed RAK. I replace Verdi with Compressed RAK to see, you know, how good Compressed RAK is against bosses. So we're going to go ahead and attempt this. Now I'm going to shut up for you guys and let's go ahead and check and see what he has in store for us. All right, so you guys can clearly see that he wasn't able to do insane damage, but he was able to deal 199 million damage. That's pretty decent overall, pretty decent. Of course, he's not better than Verdi or Rachel, but the damage is kind of there. Keep in mind, he's only at 1 blue star, so maybe that's the reason why his damage wasn't that insane. But I feel like he's definitely not going to be better than Verdi or Rachel, but his damage, he can deal a decent amount of damage against bosses for sure. So overall, my overall take on this character is pretty good. I think he's really solid, really good DPS unit. What I recommend you guys to, you know, go for him. Now, this is the thing. If you already have Yua, then sure, go ahead and go for RAK. But if you are a beginner player and you don't even have Yiwa, I would definitely recommend you guys to first focus on Yiwa first, because she's going to boost your account progression by a lot. And then after that, once you get Yiwa, you want to get other meta characters as well, because I'll say that RAK, he's definitely a good unit, but he's definitely not on Joaquin and you know, Kaseya, Yiwa level yet. He's just not on their level. But RAK is an insane unit for sure. In terms of when it comes to damage, he's a really good unit. When it comes to single target damage and dealing a lot of damage to a bunch of enemies, he's really solid overall. But comparing to, you know, the meta characters like Yiwa, Joaquin, he's definitely not on their level at all. So I would definitely recommend you guys to skip if you are a beginner player. If you're a beginner player and if you don't have Yiwa, you guys should definitely skip. But if you are a veteran player, like you've been playing this game since launch, you got pretty much all the meta characters in the game, go ahead and get RAK. Like at the end of the day, man, you can do whatever you want, but overall RAK is a pretty solid unit. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm enjoying him a lot, and he definitely has potential. I only have him at blue stars, so I'm planning on getting more copies of him, because I feel like he'll definitely do something in the long term. Like, I feel like he'll definitely be good in the end game because of his damage. But overall, pretty solid unit, and I'm enjoying him. He's really fun to play. Even though I have low copies on him, he's a really fun unit. But anyways, put your thumbs up on the comment section what you guys think overall. I want to see y'all's opinions. But anyways, I'll be ending the video at that. Make sure that you guys like the video and subscribe if you haven't. I really appreciate it, and I'll be catching you guys on the next one. Peace.